My Hero Academia Season 5 Episode 20 is out, and with this new episode, the highly anticipated My Villain Academia arc finally begins. That's right, there ain't no heroes in this arc, it's all about the villains. This episode covers just under 5 chapters from the My Hero manga, following the events of Chapter 220, 221, 222, 223, and the start of 224. Boy, are they flying through this one. And so, without further ado, let's jump right into My Hero Academia Season 5 Episode 20, titled My Villain Academia. And as usual, don't forget to Detroit smash that like button and slide into that subscribe button's DMs to hit that notification bell. This episode opens up 2 months prior to the previous episode, where we see Tomura Shigaraki and the League coming face to face with a giant monster man who claims to have been searching for All For One's successor. It's revealed in a different flashback that All For One left this giant monster as a backup for Shigaraki in the case of his defeat, and as we all know, he got pretty defeated. Originally, Kurogiri was supposed to retrieve this monster for Shiggy, but unfortunately he was caught and arrested by Gran Torino before he could finish the task. So now, the League has shown up to retrieve their new asset. In a surprising twist, however, upon laying eyes on his supposed new master, Gigantomachia, that's the monster's name by the way, bursts out in a tantrum, crying his eyes out, screaming about how upset he is that All For One would leave him with such a weak successor. And I mean, he's got a good point. Right now, Shiggy isn't even the strongest person in his own evil organization, let alone the My Hero world. As Gigantomachia continues his rant, a voice begins to speak through a nearby radio, which Shigaraki refers to as Doctor. Doctor informs us and the League that Gigantomachia was once All For One's personal bodyguard, who not only wields an ungodly amount of stamina, but was also able to inherit multiple quirks without having to be Nomu-fied. The Doctor continues, saying that All For One hid Gigantomachia years ago in case he was ever beaten or weakened by All Might, so that his dream and his will may live on even when he is gone. After explaining all of this, Machia, in despair at the thought that his new master is far weaker than his old master, proceeds to charge at the League. Dabi says, screw this, it's cremation time baby, but his flames have no effect on the beast, giving us a glimpse at the unstoppable power that is Gigantomachia. Before Machia can reach and utterly obliterate the League, however, the Doctor plays a recording of All For One's voice calling his name through the radio, causing Machia to stop in his tracks and grovel towards the voice. Wanting to talk face to face with Shiggy, the Doctor then seemingly uses a teleportation quirk identical to the one All For One used in Kamino, bringing the League to his secret laboratory. It's here where the Doctor introduces himself as Daruma Ujiko, a name which he himself admits he just came up with. Also, I want to clarify that apparently this isn't the Doctor that told Deku he was quirkless at the start of the series, despite their extremely similar appearance. I'm onto you, Horikoshi. Daruma explains that he is a longtime friend and ally of All For One, and he is the person that built and continues to build Nomus for the League, as we can see multiple high-end Nomus, as he calls them, in containers all around his laboratory. Daruma and Shiggy then proceed to have a bit of a back and forth, where Shigaraki asks the Doctor to duplicate something for him, but Daruma demands that Shigaraki prove himself first, asking what Shigaraki, a 20-something-year-old man who hasn't accomplished anything yet, would do with such power. And it's here where we get a brief look into Shigaraki's past. As it turns out, Shigaraki has no memory of his life before being taken in by All For One. His oldest memory is of lying desperate and broken on the street, where All For One found him, gave out about Hero Society abandoning him, and took him in, saying, "Don't worry, I am here for you." A fantastic parallel to All Might's famous "I am here" quote. We then see Shiggy all cleaned up and All For One in a room, where All For One explains that this will be his new bedroom and he will be Shiggy's new master. Daruma then enters the room with Shigaraki's iconic hand clothing accessories, and he explains that they are actually the hands of Shigaraki's family members, which he accidentally killed when his quirk first activated. Seeing these hands causes the young Tomura to vomit on the floor, as fractured memories of each of his family members begin to come back to him. This flashback ends as All For One explains to the doctor that while his memories may be fractured, his feelings of pain and irritation remain whole. So he plans to help young Tomura harness those feelings and to push him in the right direction. The story then cuts back to the laboratory, where Shigaraki explains that when he places these hands on his body, while it does make him feel sick, his mind clears up, allowing him to think. He also explains that inside of him is a gushing waterfall of hatred and rage that can never be quenched. Not if he destroyed Hero Society, and not even if he became the king of the underworld. So his only goal is to destroy everything that breathes, to bring the world into a new era of chaos. Hearing this, Himiko Toga chimes in by asking the very important question of, if Shigaraki wants to destroy everything, what about everyone else's goals and dreams? To which Shiki responds that of course there is always room for his comrades' wishes, which I think is another fantastic example of the League being more than just another villain organization. When you really look into it, the League is a family. Originally, they were brought together by their own selfish goals, but after working alongside each other through trials, conflicts, and loss, they have forged a bond as strong as any other. And it's amazing to watch these relationships grow over the series. Following Shigaraki's proclamation of his goal, Daruma claims that he will indeed aid the League on their quest. However, he claims that they are still too weak to gain his full support. So to prove themselves fully worthy of his help, they must complete one simple task: make Gigantomachia submit. Shigaraki happily takes on this challenge, and after each of the League members receive new communication devices to contact Daruma with, the Doctor picks up a dog-like Nomu, which he terrifyingly named Johnny, and forces it to activate the teleportation quirk, sending Shiggy and the League back to Gigantomachia. Dabi remains with Daruma to test out his new high-end Nomu, which, in case you were wondering, is actually the Nomu Endeavor fought at the end of Season 4, and Daruma was the one to teleport Dabi away when Mirko showed up during his confrontation with Hawks and Endeavor. See, it's all making sense now. Following this, the story then skips forward to the middle of December, which is roughly a month and a half later. Shigaraki has been in an almost constant battle with Gigantomachia over this entire time, in which they have learned about some of his power. Gigantomachia can remain in continuous battle for 48 hours and 44 minutes, after which he needs only 3 hours sleep to fully recover and continue fighting again. During combat, his body gets bigger, and he becomes far more aggressive. He also has acquired Shigaraki scent, allowing him to track down Tomura no matter how far he travels away or tries to hide. While Shigaraki has remained in almost constant battle with Gigantomachia, taking very short breaks and naps over the month and a half himself, the other League members take shifts in fighting alongside him, as the only person Gigantomachia seems to care about fighting is All For One's heir. During one of Gigantomachia's rest periods, when the League meet up to discuss their current situation, Twice gets a call from Girin, the arms dealer and friend of the League. However, upon answering this call, a stranger talks from the other end, who is quickly revealed to be Redestro, the leader of the Meta Liberation Army. Redestro has captured and tortured Girin, gruesomely ripping off his fingers and placing them all around Japan, which is pretty fucked up if you ask me, in the hopes of getting information about the League and their whereabouts. Although Girin didn't cave to this torture, the Meta Liberation Army did manage to retrieve all of the files on the League he had previously deleted. Redestro informs the League that he wants to bring change to the world, to destroy the status quo on quirk restrictions and regulations, and to grant the right of full quirk usage to everyone. Unfortunately, the League has gotten a bit too infamous, meaning that if he were to make the Meta Liberation Army and their ideals publicly known, the two organizations would immediately be associated with one another. So, Redestro tells Shiggy before his organizations grant an official revival, he is first going to destroy the League. And so, he gives Shiggy an ultimatum. He can arrive in Daika City in 1 hour where he can try and save the captured Girin, but will face off against the entirety of the Meta Liberation Army, all 100,000 of them, or the MLA will release their location to the heroes, using their own satellite tracking system, resulting in their arrest and detainment. Either way, it means the end for the League. Now, this quick introduction to the Meta Liberation Army is really surprising and might catch a bunch of anime-only fans off guard. So, if you want a full breakdown of who exactly the MLA are and where they came from, you can watch my video here where I break down everything for you. But anyway, after this phone call, Twice has a bit of a breakdown, pleading with his fellow League members to go to Daika to save Girin, who he seemingly has a big attachment to and friendship with. Shigaraki removes Twice's mask to get him to be quiet, but he agrees that they are going to go to Daika to rescue Girin, but not without a plan. And with this, episode 20 comes to an end as Shigaraki reveals that they are going to go to Daika to specifically lure Gigantomachia into battle, where not only will he help deal with the 100,000 opponents they have to face, but he will also hopefully get injured enough himself for Shigaraki to defeat him, earning the Doctor's full cooperation. Overall, this was a pretty good episode. It's great to see the MVA arc finally begin after so much waiting, and I gotta say, it's already got me hella hyped for what's to come next. This episode covered a lot of content, which both makes me extremely excited and worried. I loved seeing the brief look into Shiki's backstory, and Gigantomachia and the Doctor's official introduction into the anime were great. This episode kept me engaged from beginning to end, and there certainly wasn't anything slow about it, which is really nice to see after having a good few sluggish episodes this season in my opinion. But this speed and pacing is also what has me worried. While I felt the pacing of this episode was fine, I'm afraid with how fast they seem to be going through this arc, future episodes and moments won't get the slowdown and attention they deserve, reducing their overall impact for the viewers. But who knows, maybe everything will be perfectly paced out and this will be the one hell of an arc everybody has been waiting for. Overall, I'd give this episode a 7.5 or 8 out of 10. Covered a lot of ground, it always had my full attention, and it genuinely has me excited for what happens next. But let me know what you thought of this episode. If you like this video, don't forget to leave a like. For more My Hero content, subscribe to the Lunchtime Crew. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Plus Ultra!